So it's fair to say that Cold War Zombies is pretty quiet right now. Until Season 2 drops in February, there isn't much at all happening with Cold War Zombies. So while we wait for DLC 1, today we're going to be discussing a new Future Zombies DLC map. And so far on the channel, we've discussed the Vietnam DLC 1 map, the Kino de Toten remake, and that leaves this final DLC we're talking about today. Now, I know some of you watching have probably already heard about this, but I wanted to space out my videos covering DLC maps so that when there are quieter periods, there's still some fresh new content for us to discuss. So if, like me, you're just itching for another Zombies map in Cold War, let me know in the comments section, drop the video a thumbs up, and let's just jump straight into things. Now, like Black Ops 3 Zombies, Treyarch has made our DLC locations pretty obvious, and thus far, we have Vietnam for our first DLC, we have a Berlin map, which we have seen countless bits of evidence in Cold War to suggest it will have Kino de Toten within it, and then that brings us onto our location for today. And what makes this exciting is this is a location that Zombies has never been to before. It's not a remake, it's not a remaster, it's never been seen before in the Zombies universe. And this is in the Ural Mountains, and we get to explore this in one campaign mission on Cold War called Echoes of a Cold War. Now, how do we know this is a Zombies location? Well, if we go on to D Machina, there is a hidden cipher called the K cipher, which was solved by Richkiller and Coldstone the Gamer, which reads as follows: Attention K, initial survey of Ural site verifies it is by far the largest incursion zone yet recorded. We must assume Requiem will detect it via satellite and deploy fire teams regardless of sovereign borders. Recommend continuing operations while monitoring Requiem communications. With your support, I will ensure any new gains remain in Soviet hands. So what do we learn, you're probably wondering? Well, the first sentence, initial survey of Ural site, verifies it is by far the most largest incursion zone yet recorded. This is talking specifically about the Ural Mountains, which are a mountain range that are running through Western Russia. And in comparison to the various other locations around the globe that we have seen anomaly portals opening up, this is by far the largest zone yet recorded, which means there is a huge zombies outbreak happening in the Ural Mountains. Now, also looking at the start of the letter, it says Attention K. And to start with, we didn't really know exactly who K could be, but looking further on in the letter and reading that it says, with your support, I will ensure any new gains remain in Soviet hands, you can pretty much safely say that this is a letter from Omega Group. Thinking of important characters within the Soviet Union in Cold War who begin with a K, we can think of the surname Kravchenko. Some other things that tie this up nicely is the campaign mission involves us returning to the Mount Yamantau facility to extract containers of a suspected bioweapon, which we all know is good old Nova 6. And we learn in Season 1 that production of Nova 6 was happening on Rebirth Island, and the new operator Stitch was managing production facilities on Rebirth and reported directly to Colonel Lev Kravchenko. So already there is some incredibly interesting backstory being created and set up for this Ural Mountain site, and it is the biggest incursion zone yet recorded. So this is going to be a gigantic area full of zombie activity, and this mission is huge. Like, you're ziplining across different parts of the mountains. It looks visually stunning, and this is the only mission where we get to play in this setting. And the Ural Mountains is iconic in the Black Ops universe. Like, we have the original Black Ops campaign level WMD where we went to this exact facility. And what's really interesting about that mission is you're playing alongside Weaver and Hudson, which automatically adds some very interesting dynamics to returning back here in a zombies map and further develop the interesting nostalgia of revisiting this location. But on top of that, during the mission, there was a character called Harris who you thought died, but we saw him return during the end of the Pawn Takes Pawn marketing, where he was still alive and being interrogated by William Bowman, who is the son of Joseph Bowman from Black Ops 1. Admittedly, the acting was a bit cringe, but it was very interesting nonetheless, as well as the multiplayer map WMD and Summit. So with all its history, it is definitely a cool location for us to visit. Now, this is also referenced to us in a cipher in D Machina from the stranger who was trapped in the dark ether, where on day 1108 he attempts to pass through weak spots yielding limited results, but he gets glimpses of home into brief visits. Location is different every time, and he mentions that he he sees a glacier along with a jungle and a village. Well, we know the jungle is obviously referencing Vietnam. A village, we're not so sure, but a glacier could definitely be referencing the Ural Mountains. But not only that, if we go to the D Machina intro cutscene where we see Weaver in his office looking at several computer monitors, we've already noticed that they show different locations and they link up to map locations we've seen, such as Morasko, Poland. We've also seen Berlin, which we've spoken about on the channel before, and another is the Ural Mountains in Russia, pretty much solidifying any doubt you may have had in your mind about this being a zombies map location, because it ties up just like all the others we've seen so far. It's just a question of when. Now, I just think the whole idea and concept of this area as a zombies map would just be fantastic, because it is so unique, it is so deep and rich in Black Ops history, and there's some moments within the campaign mission itself where you do see the remnants of soldiers from the original WMD mission from Black Ops, and these soldiers do look, funnily enough, like zombies. They are dead bodies that have been frozen over for the longest time, and if Mason examines some of these bodies, he starts seeing the numbers, which is a really, really cool Easter egg. And further on in, there's an Easter egg where you can find a executioner weapon with a photograph of Steiner, which is a callback to when Mason used that weapon to kill Steiner. And interestingly, Steiner is now once again relevant in the Black Ops Cold War campaign with Season 1, as he is of course tied directly into the whole idea of Nova 6. Now, I spoke about this a little bit in my DLC 1 Everything You Need to Know, but when it comes to developing zombies maps, Treyarch love to go ahead and reuse assets that already exist in the game, because then it takes much less development time as well as development costs to reuse assets that have already been created for the game and were only ever used for one campaign mission. And this is a prime example of how Treyarch could do the same thing here, because when you play this campaign mission, you realize that this is actually a really huge area that they've built for this one mission. You have the mountain scaling and zip lining before you get into the facility itself, and then there's a lot of exploring within there before you're thrusted back out again into this huge open area. And you even have a dig site, which, funny enough, when I first heard that, I was like, oh my god, Origin vibes. There's a dig site, hello. But the whole point of this mission and what you're trying to stop is you're trying to stop Steiner and his associates from developing a suspected bioweapon, which you'd assume is Nova 6, which it is, but Woods references that there is more that's being done here, and Nova 6 is just the tip of the iceberg. It's just perfect setup for the zombie storyline to creep in here in a massive, massive way. And I've not even mentioned there is another cipher you can find within D Machina, which is a G cipher solved by Rich Killer, which you can solve by doing the satellite Easter egg by shooting the 3 satellites outside of the map with dead wire to give you the key to solve this cipher, which says attention K. P confirms viability of deployment. Opportunity identified in previous communique. Selected site is approved for trial run of Operation Inversia. The nature of warfare is about to transform. Any mission, anytime, any place, G. So I've mentioned this cipher in a few videos before, but Operatia Inversia is Operation Inversion. Now, inversion is the action of inverting something or the state of being inverted. And putting in the context of what Omega Group want to try and do is they probably want to try and turn the zombies into their own super soldiers. And in the context of zombies and the Cold War, of course, this is the Americans versus the Soviets. They want to do anything they can to get the upper hand on their enemies, and this is where this is so big that the nature of warfare itself is about to transform, where any mission, anytime, any place, they can adopt and use this Operation Inversion. Now, this cipher is signed off by someone called G. Obviously, we don't know who G is. I'm trying to think long and hard about this, and I think this is going to be a really important character that we'll learn about during DLC 1, maybe onwards. That's part of Omega Group, but it also references a character called P, who confirms viability of deployment, as in it's now viable for them to go to the Ural Mountains, and they want to be one step ahead of Requiem at every point, which is why in the last one they mentioned that they're going to be monitoring Requiem communications and basically eavesdrop on Requiem, because they know the moment Requiem get wind of this, they're going to be right there in the mountains, which is why Omega Group are getting a move on and they're getting themselves deployed there right away, because it is the biggest zombies outbreak yet recorded. Bigger than D Machina, bigger than anything we've seen so far, and for all we know, this area could also be hiding some sort of crazy facility like End Station has with the particle accelerator. We really don't know, know, there's so little context given as to why this is so important, beyond the fact that it has the most amount of zombies that's ever been seen before. But I'm really, really excited for this because genuinely, when I played through this mission, I had goosebumps the first time because of just how much it reminisced and felt like the first Black Ops game to me. As for when we're going to be going to this location for a DLC, I have no clue. This could be DLC 2, 3, or it could even be the final DLC. What we need to know is this is a very important area and we might not see it for a long time, but we need to keep this in the back of our minds because this could be a lot bigger than we first thought. And I'm sure we'll learn a lot more about it in the coming weeks and months when we get more intel and we get our first DLC map. Let me know what you guys think about this location. Do you like the sound of it? Is it a yay or a nay? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more, and be sure to also check out the Nuclear Family merch collection. It is on sale only until this Sunday, the 3rd of January, and then it will be gone forever. So if you've got some money over Christmas that you want to spend on some awesome clothing and support me in the process, then feel free to check out the link below, but only if you want to. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.